Alrighty guys, what is going on? Today we are going to be doing something a little bit different, and I am gonna try to teach you guys how to optimize your mods. Doing this for a couple different reasons. One, FS19 is right around the corner, and maybe doing it now this late into FS17, optimizing all your mods is going to be a big task, but if when FS19 comes out, you do it every time you download a mod, then it's going to make life a lot easier. The second reason I'm doing this video is because Giants has recently made it mandatory that your mods be optimized like this. And as a modder myself, when I first found this out, I found it was a little bit difficult finding information on it, so I figured why not myself show you guys what's going on. So the main reason Giants wants your mods optimized is performance. One, they're going to look better, not by a huge amount, but they're going to look slightly better. And two, you're going to get better frames. If you look in my top right hand corner, we're sitting at right around 52, 53 FPS. If I walk into this shed here, I'm getting as low as, well, I've seen it drop as low as 40 at times. So we're going to optimize some mods. We're actually going to be dealing with Doughboy's John Deere right here. This has been minor edits to it, put some decals on it and whatnot. But it's a good example because it's pretty poorly optimized. And when we're all said and done, we'll come back in the game and we'll see what kind of improvements we've got. So, buckle your seatbelts and hang on for the ride. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention during the little introduction there was that although Giants have now made it mandatory that mods be optimized, keep in mind that the mods you download off other sites, i.e. Mod Hoster, FSUK, PCSG, American Eagles Modding, not to mention all the other garbage sites that steal mods from people, They could very well be very well done mods from those sites, but it's not mandatory that they're uploaded optimized. So this is another reason why I wanted to, bring this awareness to people, and hopefully I can help some people out. So, moving into things, first thing you're going to want to do is check your log. So what I did was I loaded up an empty save game with just the John Deere mod into my mods folder. So I'm in my Farm Sim 17 folder here. Open up your log right here, and this is where you get to find out whether or not you have any errors whatsoever or warnings, and it will very clearly say error missing such and such, or warning missing such and such, or whatever. But you see it loaded here, and I've got no errors or anything underneath of that. So, we want to check that beforehand, because we're also going to check the log afterwards to make sure that we didn't mess anything up. And you don't want to go chasing something that you didn't actually cause. So the next thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you have a backup. Okay, and I can't stress backups enough. So put this file somewhere else. I probably have like 30 different copies of this on my computer at this point, so I'm not too worried about it. But make sure you have a copy of whatever mod that you're doing before you start messing with things. So you're going to want to open it up. One of these days I'll actually get around to paying for WinRAR. I prefer using WinRAR. Some guys like WinZip. I think Windows even technically has a way to unzip. I don't know if you can zip with Windows, so anyways. you're going to want to drag and drop that into a blank folder. Okay, so let's close this now and open it up, and we've got all kinds of folders. We've got all these add strips, so they're just decals that were put onto the tractor afterwards to kind of customize it for Doughboy. And then we've got a handful of folders here and all your other files, yada, yada, yada. So, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to talk in 3 phases here, okay? And it's going to get increasingly difficult as we move along. Phase 1 is adding MIP maps to your files. So, MIP maps are essentially giving your texture files multiple different images within itself. So you have a high detailed image, a smaller detailed image, a smaller detailed even still, and then even poorer image. And what that does is it means as you walk away from your file or from your mod, it doesn't have to render as high a quality because you're not going to see it as well anyways, right? So I'll leave a link down below, and I should be able to post a picture right now of proper file sizes. So you know what images right off the hop have MIP maps, what ones do not. I know this one does, this one does, this one does, this one does, this one, not 100% sure. But there are a few files that you're going to want to avoid, okay? And I'll go over those real quickly with you. You're going to want to avoid your cube maps, your numerical images. So those are just images with numbers on them. They are used for like your animated dashes. You're going to want to avoid your brands, your store, your PDAs, any files that are not actually loaded in-game. They're more used for, like I say, in the store or when the map is loading so you can see what you're working with. So let's just pop into this folder right here. View, list, details. And you can see we've got a whole bunch here that do not have MIP maps. So the first thing you're going to want to do is download paint.net, or Adobe Photoshop can also do this as well. GIMP cannot. I'm not going to show you guys how to download and install the program. I'm sure you guys can figure that out on your own, but I will leave you a link in the description down below. So the next thing, once you've got it installed, and again, you're referring back to this photograph that I showed you, which lets you know which files have and which ones do not have MIP maps. You're going to open it up. Let me just bring it over to the correct screen here. And you're just going to simply save and make sure this guy right here is ticked off. Now, before you hit OK, I want to show you this drop down right here. You have DXT1, DXT3, and DXT5. So DXT1 is used for any solid images. So they are images that don't have this checkered mask underneath, also known as an alpha channel. So essentially this has transparent stuff down behind it. So we are going to use, whoopsie daisy, we're going to use DXT5 instead. DXT3, don't use it, okay? Giants doesn't like it. I don't quite understand why. It doesn't perform as well. I will show you later on how to know whether or not it has DXT3 in phase 2 and how to remove it. So for now, you're going to deal with DXT1, those are your solid images, or DXT5 that are these guys right here where it's transparent. So we're going to save this as DXT5. Okay, MIP maps was checked off. And now you'll see the file size has changed to image size that we like. Now, what you're going to need to do is go through every single file, do the same thing. You're going to want to come through every single folder, do the same thing, yada, 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 bing, bam, boom. This is this is a big folder. This is, goodness, it's got a lot that isn't optimized in here. It's a pretty simple process, this one right here, and this one is, of all three phases, probably going to give you the quickest and best results. Okay, so that's pretty much phase one. If you have any questions, let me know down below, and we'll move right along into phase two. Alright, so real quick before I jump into phase two, I realized that I may not have been quite clear enough on a couple things. So let's just open up a couple files here. This one right here, this is the type of file that I was saying, a numerical file. So you see it's got a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's kind of hard to see. Actually, the next file, font, forward, reverse, neutral, and park. These are some of the files that when I was talking about numerical files. Ignore those ones. Don't add bitmaps to them. At least from what I'm aware, every single vehicle that I've opened up does not have bitmaps on these guys. So I'm assuming there's a reason for it, though I haven't actually tested it yet. And then see this guy right here. Actually, let's ignore. Yeah, this guy right here. Sure. He is a solid image, so it does not have that checker pattern that I was talking about earlier, or the alpha channel, interpolated alpha. Anyways, so you're going to save this one as DXT1 instead of DXT5. Okay? So, moving on to removing DXT3. So I've added bitmaps to all the appropriate files here. Actually, I didn't do this one. Save. DXT1. Same with this one. Save. DXT1. Okay, so to get rid of DXT3s, and it's really hard. So we have bitmaps on everything now, but it doesn't show us anywhere here. Even if you say, let's right click on this, go properties, details, it's going to show you that it's a DDS image, but it doesn't show you whether it's DXT 1, 3, or 5. So, did a little research, got an answer back, and what I found was a program called FileSeek. Again, link will be in the description down below. Now, this program, it does have a pro version and a non-pro version. Essentially, you start out with the pro version for 30 days, and then it just reverts you back to the free version. So we're going to open it up here, and I'm going to browse on my desktop for, I've got a ton of junk on here. Doughboys John Deere 7R. And then right here, just type in DXT3. Whoops, that's hashtag. DXT3. Okay? And hit enter. I actually wanted to go one step further and go into this folder. Select folder. So I'm just dealing with this one folder for now. And we still have one file left with DXT3. So that is green monitor. Wherefore art thou, green monitor? Right there. So it has bitmaps, but you'll notice right there, it says DXT3. So open it up, save, and change it to DXT5. That's all you need to do. That's phase 2 right there. Phase 2 is pretty much the same thing as phase 1. You're just saving them as DXT1 or DXT5. But you do also need that extra program to check to see whether or not the files have what compression ratio the files are. One thing I should have noted before I told you to start doing DXT3 was between phase 1 and phase 2, it's probably a good idea to check your log, load the image or the mod back up in Giants in Farm Sim. Check your log, make sure it's still clean. Also take a walk around the vehicle or implement whatever it may be. Make sure that nothing's awry. Why is that guy save? Oh, I didn't have generate bitmaps ticked off. That's why. Anyways, that was DXT5 with bitmaps. So, the next step. Phase 3. That's a big one. And it's not for the faint of heart. Phase 3 deals with file reorganization. So, I'm going to be honest with you, having multiple monitors here is a major advantage. So I'm going to drop back to our original folder here, the main folder. And you'll open this up, and then we have, these two files, and these two files, and these two files, plus your ad strips. Holy, just a bunch of junk, and it's just very poorly organized. Okay, what essentially you want is to have these two files, which don't have bitmaps, you'll notice. So we'll have to come back and change those as well. You'll want to move all your textures files, preferably into one textures folder. See, we actually have 4 texture folders here. They're called slightly different things, but really they're the same thing. They're a file for your textures. So we'd like to fix that up. So I'm going to show you a few things to do here. And again, this part isn't for the faint of heart, so be wary. First thing I'm going to do is create a new folder. So I'm going to call this new Doughboy John Deere 7R. Okay. I'm going to open this folder up. And we'll just make it a little smaller. Now, I'm going to find the 7R right here. Okay, I'm going to open it in Giants Editor. Okay. You see Doughboy's logos there. Yada, yada, yada. What you're going to want to do, and again, not going to show you how to download it. Maybe I just said this. I don't know. I'm getting lost at this point. I'm not going to show you how to download Giants Editor, but I will leave a link in the description down below. You're going to want to export all with files. Now, we're going to go to our desktop and find new Doughboy 7R. Nope. What the? Hold on. New Doughboy John Deere 7R. Do I have another folder that's called almost the exact same thing? Yep. New Doughboy John Deere 7R. Okay. And we're going to name it the exact same thing. So John Deere 7R. And make sure when you're doing this, whenever you're dealing with file names, make sure you pay attention to whether or not the letters are uppercased or not, because it does make a difference. You'll get warnings in your log file, and servers, if you're playing them in multiplayer, definitely do not like it. So, save. So we export all with files, and then save it as whatever that file name is. Okay, so we're going to close that out now. So what that did now is all of these guys right here, all these add strips are useless. They're just extra space taken up now. Okay? So what it essentially did was bring a whole bunch of i3ds into one i3d. There are exceptions. Those exceptions are, and what you can do to find these exceptions, one is to open up your mod desk, or maybe mod, your vehicle name .xml. Look to see if it's looking for any of the other i3ds. This part kind of takes a little bit of common sense, and it really helps to have some previous knowledge in FarmSim and knowledge on reading your log, because if you haven't done this kind of thing before, you will definitely get an error. I guarantee it. Trust me. But we're going to want to bring these i3ds over as well. So the front loader, and you can do the same thing with your wheels narrow, your wheels, your 7R front loader. You can export all just to make sure that you're not bringing any other garbage over. But I'm just going to drag and drop because I'm a rebel. Okay. Actually, that was a bad idea. Copy, paste. I prefer to do the copy and paste, just that way your original stays the same versus dragging and dropping. Okay. Other things you're going to want to bring are your brands. Your 7R, your front loader XML, your mod desk, your store for the 7R, your wheel XMLs. Let's bring all of those over as well. Copy and paste. Okay. So why did it not bring the rest of the folders over? Should have brought like that. Okay, so I may have made a boo-boo here. When I exported file, export all with files. John Deere 7R, save, replace it. Yes. There we go. Now we've got our other folders there. Okay, so whatever I showed you to do, exporting the first time, make sure I'll export all with files, and then name it the John Deere 7R. Okay, so we still have all these folders, but you're going to notice those i3ds are gone. Okay, so that's step one. So next thing, I'm going to slide this guy over here for now. Get him out of the way. Next thing you're going to want to do, you're going to need Notepad++. And if you're going to be modding, you're going to need to get familiar with Notepad++. Very good program. You're going to want to open your John Deere 7R.i3d, edit with Notepad++. Okay? So, now, let's open up this guy right here. Okay? Reduce gaming. Now let's go to the next folder, and we have a file that's named the exact same thing, but it's something different. So if we just redirect where it looks and drag and drop them all into the same spot, then we're going to have an issue where you're just going to have the same image all over the place versus multiples. So what you need to do is go up to the very top. Let's rename this guy. So we're as strip 3 dudes. Okay, we're going to rename him 3 dudes. Okay, and then we're going to rename him home 3 dudes. I learn how to spell here. Specular. Okay, so we're gonna So I highlighted this spot here. Now watch this fancy little thing. Control F. Go to replace. 3 dudes. And replace it. And then it goes to the next one and replace. Don't keep going all the way through, otherwise you'll do ones that you don't want to do. Next, what we want to do is change. So we changed what the what Giants is looking for in a name. Now we're going to change its location. So we're going to change its locations to, let's just make sure, yep, we have textures with a capital T. Remember that. So we're going to replace this with textures. And again, I could have done the same thing, gone, whoops, don't want to get rid of this, come on, don't want to get rid of the slash. Control F, replace, and textures with a capital T. Replace, okay? So now, last but not least, select both of them, cut, and go over to your textures and paste. Okay, so now you've got your textures in there. Now, we do have one file left. Actually, technically we have 2. One of them is not being looked at, though. That is your vehicle shaders. Now, if you look, we have a folder called shaders. There's actually already a vehicle shader.xml there. So all you need to do is select all of this, replace it with shaders. Okay, so now instead of it looking for it there, it's going to look for it here. And now we can remove this folder. So that's clean things up. We removed an unnecessary folder. We removed a duplicate file, which that you'll often find many duplicate files all over the place. Okay, and yeah, you're essentially going to want to do the same thing, going through every single folder, moving everything around, so it just makes more sense. Get your textures in a textures file, get your shaders in a shaders file, get your shared stuff in a shared file, yada yada yada. So, what is next? Oh yeah, when you're done, make sure to hit save. Dope. I've done that mistake before. Gotten very confused very quickly. So, next thing to do would be to go in game and see what kind of errors you have. And I'm not going to teach you guys how to fix errors. That's kind of more than one video can teach. I think there's so many different errors and warnings out there. But, you know, if you've done everything right, and hopefully I explained everything properly, then you will have a cleaned up folder with a better performing, at least in frame rates wise, maybe not in horsepower wise, better performing tractor. So, last thing we're going to do is I actually went through and recently optimized all my mods. Where are they here? I optimized all of them, and I mean like every single one of them. There are probably maybe 24 of all of these that were actually properly optimized. Everything else needed some tweaking. So I'm going to jump back in game now, and we're going to see what the difference is. So we'll see you in a bit. Alright, so we're back in game now. And you're going to notice frames are setting much steadier towards the 58, 60 FPS now. Honestly, you don't see from my experience, I've been playing around for a couple days now with these mods optimized. You don't see there's not a huge difference in and around the shed close up. Where I found the difference was when I'm driving a vehicle nearby. I would see a large difference that way. When you're getting up closer and closer and then moving further and further away from those vehicles. But the other thing you're also going to notice is tabbing between your vehicles is going to be much quicker versus you're going to get a hesitation tabbing before, and now it's very, very quick. Anyways, I hope this video was of some use to somebody out there. If I left anything out, make sure to leave me a comment down below. Give me a like if you thought this was at all useful. Dislike it if you thought this was the worst video I've ever created. Just let me know whether or not I should do more modding videos like this in the future. Would be appreciated. Don't forget to check out PCSG, check out all the other YouTubers I got listed down below, and until next time, y'all have a good night. See ya!